This broadcast of In Focus is being made possible through the support of Reed Health. Reed Health, right beside you. And by First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together. Thanks for joining us on this week's In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WCTV Channel 11. We're having a chance to spend some time with Caleb Smith, who is the Richmond Farmers Market Coordinator and Community Engagement Facilitator. There's a title. How you doing, Caleb?
Oh, yeah. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. How are you, interesting question, how are you engaging with the community mostly at home right now?
Well, it's been interesting, that's for sure, but we've been really utilizing a lot of these different media channels, social media, our email lists, been trying to stay engaged with the radio stations and you guys. I've been really getting my worth out of my cell phone bill, that's for sure.
Talk a little bit about the Richmond Farmers Market. For those who aren't aware, and I know a lot of people are, but talk about kind of the evolution of that market over the past couple of years and into this past winter season.
Yeah, sure. So the Richmond Farmers Market has been a program of the Richmond Parks Department since 2015. I came on in 2017, and we have been working hard to grow the market over the past few years and really grow it into a community gathering place and a source for local food for people. Downtown Richmond, surprisingly, is a food desert, so we kind of fill a little bit of a need there by providing access to food in the downtown, and then also trying to be a business incubator and spark development and other things in Richmond as a whole and support our Richmond and Wayne County and beyond farming community and entrepreneur community. We all of our farmers and vendors come from within either Wayne County or one of the surrounding counties that touches us. And the average distance that vendors travel to the market is about 11 miles. So really close.
We are talking local.
Yeah, we're really talking hyper local produce, meat, eggs, honey, all that stuff.
Nice. Didn't start off that there was the winter market. That became a thing. I think it's grown over the last couple of years. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it is. We have always had a winter market, but in the past 2 years, this was our second winter moving to an every single Saturday. It used to be twice a month. And that's really grown a lot for us and really been a big boon for the market as a way to continue to support our vendors and the community year round.
What has, and you talk to them because you're out there winter as well as summer, what has the reaction been to the vendors, and I won't just say farmers, but it's more than that, but to the vendors over the last couple of years as this has grown, as SNAP dollars have gotten doubled and things of that nature? What has been their reaction to it? Are they seeing something positive?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really positive reaction, and word has definitely spread among the agricultural community. People are taking notice, and we're starting to, be more in touch with people from around the region and even the state who are kind of saying, oh, Richmond's really kind of figuring it out. And I kind of regularly get calls from other markets and farmers in the region saying, hey, how are you doing this? Just in the past few weeks, and we'll talk about this more later, but I've gotten calls from Muncie, Oxford, Henry County, and a couple other places kind of saying, hey, Richmond, you're kind of figuring out how to deal with everything right now. what are your tips? What are your ideas? So that's been really cool that, the vendor community and the parks department and the city have all really been able to come together and support the market and keep growing and adapting and making sure that we're being as supportive as possible and creating the best kind of environment for our vendors to succeed in.
Is it just my feeling, or can you maybe attribute some of the growth that's happening in the downtown area? And before, obviously, COVID-19, we were seeing some business growth in the downtown area. Can you attribute some of that to the farmers market and Telstra Plaza?
I'd like to think so, yes. We did just have one of our vendors, Sweet Blessings. She purchased the old Olympian Candies building, and she started out with the farmers market about 10 years ago before it was under the Parks Department, and she's grown her business so much that she's going brick and mortar. So I think that's a really great example of what we're able to do. And I hear customers tell me, hey, we love coming down to Telstra Plaza, to the farmers market. We start off our day at the market, we grab something to eat, we go over to the library, we get our books for the week with our kids, and then, maybe we walk downtown and, we check out this new shop we've been meaning to go to. We go and we pick up something from one of the businesses, pick up a prescription at Phillips, come back to the market, finish our shopping, and then head home. So I think it is kind of bringing more people downtown and helping people to engage with it more than just a, drop in, drop out.
Well, and it's also helped. Obviously, food trucks have continued to grow. Food Network has its great food truck race, and you keep hearing about food trucks in various places. It's also been a nice addition for that in this area also.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's really Telstra Plaza, I think we as a community made an investment, and now we're seeing it pay off. And we're seeing it pay off in dollars, but we're also seeing it pay off in terms of community engagement, people coming together at socially appropriate distances right now. But we're really seeing that investment has really made a positive impact for our community.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're spending some time with Caleb Smith, Richmond Farmers Market Coordinator. The Winter Farmers Market started in Wynn and it finally had to end due to COVID-19. It actually ended a couple of months early, didn't it?
Yeah, so we, our winter market normally goes through the end of April, and then we pick right back up outside at the beginning of May. And this year, in mid-March, we made the difficult decision to suspend the season about 6 weeks early to try and slow the spread of COVID-19. So that's been a challenge that we've been working through, but all of our vendors and customers have been very understanding so far.
What was it that made you, or whatever team worked on this, decide to take the farmers market online? Was that something that was kind of always in the works, or was this pandemic kind of a push to head in a different direction?
It was a little of both. We knew that this has been something that's been on my mind for a while, but we hadn't really had the time or energy to really devote to it until now. And so when the opportunity kind of came that like, oh, wow, we need to figure out a different solution and have it figured out yesterday, it was kind of the kick in the pants, I think, for the whole team of our market advisory team of vendors and the parks department, myself, and the city as a whole to say like, okay, yeah, let's really iron out some details here and make this happen.
I know people have probably seen on social media some information about it, but we kind of invited you in to really kind of walk us through how to set up, how to engage with the vendors and talk about it a little bit more. So you've kind of created a presentation that I'm going to let you really kind of go through, and I will say I will try not to interrupt you, but I'm always over here going to raise my hand and go, oh, by the way.
Yeah, no, please interject at any time if you have any questions. So here, I'm going to see if I can get myself sharing a screen here. One of the nice benefits of doing this presentation digitally is that I can just bring in whatever I want. Yeah, so I'll go over a little bit of stuff just for people who maybe have never heard about the farmers market or
Sure.
are not used to it, or want a little reminder. So our mission is to support local small-scale farmers and gardeners, and give them a marketing opportunity to sell homegrown produce and farm-related items directly to consumers. Normally in the summer, we're open Saturdays from May through October, 8 to noon, and Tuesdays 4 to 7 in July through September. And that would be at Telstra Plaza, which many of you are familiar with. It's right across the street from the library. It's the park that was finished in 2016, and it's been our home since then. And we really make sure that as a farmer's market, our focus is locally grown food. Our restriction is 100 miles of Richmond, but the reality is that it's more often a lot closer. Our average is 11 miles, as I mentioned before. And it must be sold by the person or business who grew it. So that looks like I go to every single farm at least once every 3 years and just check in and say, hey, you're actually growing the stuff that you say you're growing. So when you buy stuff from the farmer's market, it's really grown by the person or made by the person you're buying it from.
Nice.
With that, there's a lot of things beyond just kind of produce, meat, honey, things like that, but breads, jams, cookies. A lot of these vendors use local goods. And then, of course, our craft vendors are one of our valued parts as well. And they really do bring a nice additional element and bring in, that rounded shopping experience that we all love about the farmer's market. Little bit of information. I know this is a lot and I won't try and talk about every point, but just why farmers markets. This is a graphic that comes from the National Farmers Market Coalition. And the 4 big points is it stimulates local economies. It preserves farmland and rural livelihoods. Farmers markets increase access to fresh food, which we'll talk about with our SNAP program, and they support healthy communities. And we'll put this information up on our Facebook page and on our page on the city website if people want to look at that in more depth. But the real kicker is that farmers markets enable our farmers to keep 80 to 90 cents of each dollar spent, which during a time like this especially is super important. Farmers who sell to the full supply chain system as commodity farmers usually keep more like 10 to 20 cents on the dollar. So big difference there.
I didn't realize the difference was that big.
Yeah, it's a really kind of incredible difference there. This is just a little bit of data. We've been collecting information on how our vendors' sales have been over the past 3 years. And so we've seen some pretty great growth from season to season. So in summer 2017, we saw about $108,000 in sales. That next winter, we saw about $17,000. And then when we switched to that every Saturday as opposed to twice a month in the winters, we saw over $40,000. The following summer was pretty similar in sales. It was a pretty rainy summer in 2018, if you remember. But last summer, we actually had our best summer on record with $135,000 in reported sales. And just to give you a little bit of a picture, about our vendors report on average, they remember about 50 to 65% of the time to turn in their sales reports. So this number is not a full picture, but it's just a sample. And then this winter, with being cut short, we were cut at $24,000 in reported sales. So we're definitely feeling the impacts already, and I'll talk about that more in a second.
But even being 6 weeks shy, your numbers were higher this past winter than they were 2 winters ago.
Yes, they were, which was really, really cool to see. As you mentioned, we have our Double Dollars grant from Reed Community Benefit. They allocated $12,300 for this winter and upcoming summer season. There's over $1 million in SNAP benefits allocated every year to Wayne County, with about 75% of those families in Richmond. And our goal is always to just say, let's get that money circulating back into our local economy. We don't need that to be going into big box retailers all the time. We want to keep that money here and circulating in our local economy. And we've seen a great growth in that program as well. Here you can kind of see the changes over the past few years. We went our first summer before the Double Dollars program, we saw about $500 in snaps used at the market. And then that skyrocketed the next summer when we moved to the when we moved to the Double Dollars program, and we ended up with about $11,000, and it's been growing ever since. So really great to see some of that, money that's coming back into the local economy, and money from Reed that's also helping out and making sure that we're getting as much food to people who need it and supporting local farmers at the same time. So getting into some of the current events. So our vendors, we crunched some of these numbers early on. And our vendors stand to lose a substantial amount of money if faced with a full closure and no alternatives for sales during this time where we're not able to have the in-person market. Mm-hmm. Our vendors were reporting in this same time frame of the closure in 2019, so mid-March to the end of April, about $760 per vendor per market. So we're estimating that sales, just gross sales lost, is probably around $17,000 for our vendors right now. There's a really great impact valuation calculator that the USDA and Colorado State University developed, where you basically can get a multiplier effect from any change to a food system. And so I ran that number through their impact valuation model and came up with about $26,000, which is a big amount of money for our small farmers and our local economy. So for the consumers, we started looking for a way to to kind of mitigate some of these impacts, and started realizing that there were a lot of benefits to shopping local during a pandemic as well. So you get to connect directly with farmers with access to fresher food. And I know a lot of people have been talking about, grocery stores and supply chains have a lot of potential for contamination. Someone picks up something at the grocery store and then puts it back down, or sneezes, or doesn't wash their hands, or use hand sanitizer before they go into the store and use the same cart as them, or something like that. When you're buying directly from a farmer, there's none of those potential impacts. There's no one in the warehouse who came into work sick and accidentally contaminated something. So that you have a connection directly with that farmer, and for sure that that there is nothing else that's contaminated along the way. We've been actually seeing a lot of increase in people who are interested in shopping local because of that, and other markets around the country are reporting that as well. Actually, at our last market before we closed, one of our vendors told me that she had sold double what she normally would have sold at a winter farmers market, because people were looking for alternatives and didn't want to be visiting grocery stores. So pretty neat stuff there. So I'll do a demonstration here in a second. The link is farmersmarket.richmondindiana.gov. And I'm just going to kind of walk through these steps of signing up for an account, adding products to your cart through online shopping, and then selecting from pickup and delivery options, placing your order, and then how to pay online and things like that. So
as you jump into that, let me remind people you're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Caleb Smith, Richmond Farmers Market Coordinator for Richmond Parks and Recreation Department. And the Farmers Market, if you're familiar with it, has moved online if you hadn't heard. And if you had heard but hadn't been able to connect, here you go.
Yeah, so I'm going to see if this works. There we go. So this is our new online farmers market. It's really exciting. We found this great local food e-commerce company called Local Line that we've partnered with to make this happen. They're based out of Ontario, Canada, but they've developed this really great model for local farmers markets and individual farmers to be able to sell online. So this is just kind of a little snippet of what you'll see when you first log in, when you first visit the website. Again, that's farmersmarket.richmondindiana.gov. And there's also links on the city website and on our Facebook page. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you visit here for the first time is you're going to want to register for an account. This is pretty similar to any other online account you've ever made. You're going to fill in your account name, and that's just going to be your first and last name, and then you can put those in again. If you're buying for a family or for a business, you can use that name instead. And then you're going to fill in your information on your address and your city. This is important to do your city with where you are, because that'll help determine what the shipping option or the delivery options are. So you want to make sure that you select Richmond, Indiana, and put in your zip code and all of that stuff. I'm going to get out of here really quick, and I'm going to sign into my account because I already have one.
Of course you do.
Of course.
Are the delivery options different depending on the vendor?
Yes. So all of the vendors set their own delivery and pickup options. When we do reopen at Telstra Plaza, that's always going to be an option to pick up at the farmers market. But some of our vendors provide additional options as well. So first thing, now that you have an account and you're logged in, you can start looking through all the products. We have almost 300 products currently listed, and the vendors are constantly updating with what's in stock, what's available, and also what they have that they can make on demand, things like that. So you can scroll through, you can see everything from all of these different vendors. You can filter by the supplier or the vendor. So you can see all of our different vendors here. So say I'm looking for some produce. I'm going to select just Boulder Belt Eco Farm. And in a second, it's going to pop up with just what they have available right now. So if I want to know more about Boulder Belt, I can click on their link, and it'll pop up with some information about this farm. They're based in Eaton. It gives a phone number if you have any questions, and also an email address, has an address, and any certifications they have or other information about them, so that they're non-GMO, they're pasture-raised, they're a peanut-free facility, all sorts of great information. You can also see what their options are. They're offering just pickup right now at their farm in Eaton. So you can see they have catnip, all these different products. If I want to know more about the product, you can also click on that. You can see all the information about this product. If you want to know more about their chart, things like that, pictures of actual products that you're going to buy. And then what you can do is you can start building your order. So I'm wanting to buy some chard, and I'm going to also buy some collard greens and some garlic from them. So you can start to put together your order, and then you can order from multiple suppliers at once. So I'm also going to put in an order for some eggs and a little bit of a 2-ounce bottle of honey.
You're passing up the cake. What's wrong with you?
Well, maybe I'll put in a tea ring as well. There we go.
Okay.
So now that you have all your stuff here, you'll be able to see all this different information on different pickup locations for all the different vendors. So the Bald Bee Man will tell me some things like, okay, some of them have minimum purchase amounts, so I'm going to change this up so that I can get this. I'm going to get 5 ounces. I'm going to get 5 bottles of honey. There we go. So now that I have everything, you can go to checkout, and you're going to choose the options for each of these different suppliers. So I'm going to pick pickup from the Bald Bee Man, and then this gives you the dates that are available. So I want to get it this Saturday. Go down to Boulder Belt. Same thing. I also want to get it this Saturday. And then let's see. Farmer Brad, he can deliver. So he's gonna deliver it to me next Tuesday, and so on and so forth. So you go through and you'll place all these. I'm not actually going to place this order right now, just because I already have some orders in actually. But you'd go through there and you'd put in all of your, you make all your selections, and then you place your order. And then you can go up and you can check on the orders you already have in. For example, I have an order from James Bigham that I ordered that I'm going to be getting on, let's see, on Saturday. So I can go into this order and check on it. He's going to meet me at Telstra Plaza at 3 o'clock Saturday to get me the order. And then you can go in and you can pay online, which is a really great feature. During the pandemic, we're trying to make sure that there's as little hand-to-hand contact as possible. So that's going to be really useful for people who are wanting to make sure they're staying no contact or low contact. You can reorder, things like that. So a lot of options. And then there you go. It's really simple. There's a lot of great different options. Let me see if I can get back to our main menu here. And let's see. Still figuring out everything. Here we go. Let's see. I'm a little slow on internet at home, but
Looks
you
like
can also. Oh, let's see. Anyways, so there's all the information on our online farmers market. It's super simple to use. There's a lot of different products. As I said, we have over 300 right now. So
you're really at the point where you're kind of, your vendors are really kind of between seasons, some of them. So this is something that will continue to grow. You're going to leave this up even if the farmer's market comes back into a physical form this summer. This is going to be a year-round maintained site for you all, correct?
Yes. So what we're going to be doing is that once the farmers market reopens at Telstra Plaza, hopefully sometime in May or early June, we're going to be continuing to encourage everyone to use this to pre-order and just pick up at the farmers market, so that you can get everything put in. The farmers can get everything ready and pre-bagged, so that all you have to do is come by, pick it up at Telstra Plaza, and head on home. And we'll have some more information on exactly when that's going to start up in the coming weeks, but that's kind of our plan for now, is that we'll get everyone signed up, and we already have, I think, 16 vendors signed up for this, with the full range of products that you'd normally expect to see at the farmers market. And we'll be encouraging everyone to continue to use this throughout the rest of the month of April, but then also moving on into May, June, and moving forward.
Most of the vendors that are on this right now, I assume, were people that were with you during the winter market, and they just kind of carried over, correct?
That's correct. And we actually did have some of our vendors who signed up, even though they normally are only summer vendors, because of the on-demand capabilities for this. So, our vendors can set their timetable. So, if anyone puts in an order, they'll bake some stuff. And if no one puts in an order, then they don't need to make anything. So it's worked well for some of those people who are like, I really like selling at the farmer's market, but maybe I don't have all that time to be able to commit to it. So, that's brought back some products that people maybe haven't seen in a little while. And, people who, and this has also been great because we've had a lot of customers who have said, hey, I haven't been able to make it to the farmer's market for a year or 2 years, and I've been missing it, but, I've always had work on Saturday, or I never can wake up. And, so this has really been something cool that, one of those little silver linings of this current health crisis is that we've been able to get this up and running. So if anyone ever has any questions on this, I'll put this up on the screen for a minute here, if I can. Here's some of our contact information. Finding us on social media always works well. But you can also call us at 983-7425 or send us an email at richmondfarmersmarketin@gmail.com.
Marvelous. Talk about, just for a minute, and I appreciate your time. You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're speaking with Caleb Smith, the Richmond Farmers Market Coordinator. Talk real quickly for us about the difference in the number of vendors. Again, we assume everybody already knows, but we know people have continued to move into the area. Homes have continued to sell. So folks are not familiar with it. And maybe hearing about the farmers market for the first time. Talk about the difference in the number of vendors between the winter's market, which would be coming to an end, and the summer market at the height of its activity.
Yeah, totally. So during the winter, we're normally seeing about 20-25 vendors at the winter market, which talking to other markets around the state and in our region, is actually a pretty high number. But in the summer, we normally see more like 40 or 50 vendors. Again, all of our vendors are hitting all of those guidelines and restrictions that we have. So it's all 100% local, handmade, no reselling, no auction items, no flea market-y items, anything like that. So it's all local food, handcrafts, things that have been made by the people you're buying them from. So we've really seen a lot of growth as well. Our first summer that the Parks Department was running the summer farmers market, we had 3 season pass vendors. And this past summer, I believe we had 41. So we've seen a lot of growth. The most vendors we had at a market in our first year, I believe, was 12 or 15, and now we're 55 or 60 at our peak. So it's really been really cool to see the growth and see the community's acceptance of the farmers market and people's engagement and interest in shopping local and supporting these small businesses.
Caleb, we want to touch base with you when we get more word about what's going to happen, particularly if you're able to do a physical market. Want to kind of touch base with you and see what kind of things people can expect, because you always have music there, you have demonstrations going on, you connect with the arts community so that they bring certain things out. So we'd like to be able to update people on some of that, because they'll be itching to get out and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, we are too. And things might look a little bit different for the first month or two, but we're going to be there doing our essential functions of providing food to the community and making sure that everyone can get something to eat. And then as we're able to add in those other important parts of the market with the arts and the demonstrations and things like that, they'll be back as soon as we can.
All right. Caleb Smith with the Richmond Farmers Market, just something else that comes to us from the Richmond Parks and Recreation Department. You all do a great job for us. I greatly appreciate it. Appreciate the time today, too.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Anything that I didn't ask you or that you want to let people know about?
I don't think so. Again, just check out the online farmers markets, farmersmarket.richmondindiana.gov. Really a great opportunity to support these local vendors.
All right. Thanks, Caleb. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Shine your light, we're better together. All around the world we are one. We're better together. Going higher, growing higher,
Hi, I'm John Duke with Wayne County Emergency Management. Spring weather is here. For the most current local updated information, we encourage everyone to sign up for public alerts through Nixle. The easiest way to sign up for Nixle is text 888-777 in the to field of a text message, and then enter your zip code in the body and hit send. For the most current information, whatever the situation may be, we encourage the public to sign up.
Wash your hands and wash them properly. That means a wetting of the hands, applying soap to them, washing them vigorously. You wash in between your hands, and you need to get friction. Friction is actually what is breaking up all of that stuff and getting them off your hands for a good 20 seconds. And if you time 20 seconds, a lot can be said in 20 seconds. And then you rinse your hands thoroughly, dry them thoroughly, use a paper towel to open the doorknob, cover your cough.
Scheduling for Whitewater Community Television happens 1 week in advance, particularly now because of unexpected changes, special government meetings, press conferences, and health updates. What you see on your digital guide may not be as accurate as we would like. The program guide that appears after each episode is the best way to keep up to date with our programming.
I mean, we couldn't do what we do without First Bank and how supportive they have been throughout the years.
I've had a very good experience working with First Bank. They have been there really with all kinds of different things that I do in my life.
We consider First Bank Richmond a good friend. They're there to help us sponsor our signature events. You always are out there to help each other out.
Besides the business part of it, we just get along really well. And it's beyond a working relationship.
Welcome back to In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. Very pleased to have a chance to bring to the show Rebecca Gilliam, who is the new, I guess is still a term. Normally you get 90 days, but since things have been kind of stretched out, maybe we can take it 6-8 months. Executive Director of the Wayne County Foundation. Rebecca, how are you?
I'm wonderful, and I was hoping for a year. I want to be new for a year so that I have time to get out there and reconnect with all the great folks throughout Wayne County. It just takes a while, and this shutdown has made it a little more challenging, fun, but challenging, connecting in new ways.
You kind of got your first introduction around December. There were some people at the annual foundation and chamber gathering that happens, and normally you would probably have been out there talking about your 100-day plan and things of that nature, and you haven't had a chance to do that. So let's start by just giving you a chance to, I will say, reintroduce yourself, because you're not a stranger to Wayne County.
No, I grew up here. My family's from here. A good portion of my family still lives here, and I am very happy to have the opportunity to come back to Wayne County and raise my child and live here the way I had a wonderful opportunity. So I haven't been back since I went away to college. So I do know a lot of folks. However, you remember them from when you were a child or a young adult. You come back for Christmas and other holidays. It has been so wonderful to reconnect with different individuals and families throughout the community. And I can't be more excited to be a part of the Wayne County Foundation and lead this amazing organization into the future.
Talk briefly about, you mentioned going away to college. You graduated, you were a Richmond High School grad, went away to college, got involved in not-for-profit work in general, or was that a specific passion of yours?
Well, I interestingly enough, I'm kind of a science and outdoor geek, so I was really into that side. I thought I was going to work at a zoo, but quickly learned that was not for me. And I ended up starting my professional career at the Children's Museum of Indianapolis. And I haven't looked back. I served at 3 different museums. The most recent was at Minnetrista in Muncie, Indiana. I've been there for the last 15 years. And now I'm able to use all of those experiences and really work with nonprofits and individuals in the community, matching up passions and the idea of giving and philanthropy to help organizations have a strong foothold in the community.
Your 100-day mission kind of got sidetracked by the pandemic, but the Wayne County Foundation has been able to step in and help the community with the Wayne County Cares Fund. Talk about how that came about and how it came about so quickly.
Sure. So we really immediately knew that the foundation was in an incredible position to really aid in this crisis for the community. And actually, we very, very quickly, right at the beginning of the shutdown, we immediately made rapid response grants available. That was our first step. We had some unrestricted grant-making dollars, and those are dollars that the community donates to the foundation, and with the latitude to really make use for the most critical need. And we were able to do that with some rapid response grants, really getting money out the door to nonprofit organizations that were having to retool and serve families and social service needs immediately. As we continued to work on that front, some very thoughtful members of the community came forward and really wanted to think about how we can be in this a little more for the long term, as far as supporting individual and family needs, specifically those who are losing employment, who are finding themselves in situations that they haven't been in before. How do we get money out so that they can meet their basic needs? And that's where the Wayne County Cares Fund really started. The foundation was able to put some additional unrestricted funds towards that grant making, and then we've had incredibly generous members of the community, individuals and businesses that have stepped forward to be a part of that. And we were able to very quickly get distributions out through the township trustees and the Salvation Army so that they can help those who are suffering the most.
Are there restrictions that you all have put on this, or are there certain areas within the community that you all are trying to help out? Is it going mostly to food? Is it going to shelters? What are these dollars?
So the grant making side was the frontline first response, but this community cares fund is really, we intentionally are working with the township trustees because they are positioned to know the individual needs within their township. And we very specifically gave them almost no restrictions on how they could use this money, because we wanted them to have the latitude to come alongside their the folks in their towns and really give them the support. And that can look different from person to person, from one part of Wayne County to another. So we tried to make this easy with very little red tape so that needs could be met immediately.
Can people still give to this fund? Are you still taking dollars and still granting requests?
Yes, we are taking dollars for this fund. We were able to distribute about $40,000 back into the community last week. So that went to the trustees and the Salvation Army, and we're continuing to raise funds because this is really just the beginning. We know that this pandemic is going to cause a lot of crisis in families for many, many months, and we want to make sure that we're helping to support that effort.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're having a chance to speak with Rebecca Gilliam, the Executive Director of the Wayne County Foundation. The foundation is known for making grants. There is a spring grant cycle. How did that get affected by the pandemic? Is that cycle still going on? And for the not-for-profits that maybe got involved in it, will they see anything different because you've had to pull dollars into other places?
No, the dollars that we are using for the crisis grants and the CARES Fund are completely different. The spring cycle was already underway. Most organizations had already started their applications. We are being flexible. So if a nonprofit sees that their needs are shifting, we're going to really be flexible to help them shift those dollars to areas that they think are most needed. We offered extensions for the application process, and then we're just open to taking it day by day, week by week, to really try to come alongside the nonprofits so that we're able to address the many needs that the community has, as well as the nonprofits are positioned to serve.
And one of the other things that normally happens this time of year, there are grants that other organizations make through the foundation, and the foundation makes through the Lilly grant for students that are wrapping up their senior year of high school. And obviously we know a lot of the final semester of their senior years is not looking as a lot of us would hoped it would be. How is that affecting your grant making during this time?
So those dollars are also not affected. They're available. That process also was completely underway, and all those applications had already been received prior to the shutdown across the county. Those dollars will be available for students. They will still be awarded, and then they will follow the students to their post-secondary endeavors. So they're still there. We're going to come alongside those students as well as they try to figure out what their fall semester will look like.
If someone wants to donate to the Wayne County CARES Fund, how can they do that?
The very easy way would be to go to our website. We have online giving. The other way is we have a lot of folks who are sending us little notes and checks, and it's so uplifting, and people really are stepping up to be a part of that. So we're answering our phones. We're kind of a modified way of doing work, but we are still here. We're still talking to the community. We're available by phone, by email. We're here to help.
One of the initiatives that started, it's been a couple of years now, probably 2.5, I want to say, is Forward Wayne County, which was an initiative that had really kind of many arms into the community, looking at some of the various areas. Different groups had been meeting on and off quarterly for a long period of time. Talk a little bit about that work, how that work is continuing, and what progress is being made in some of the various areas.
Okay, so Forward Wayne County, you're exactly right. It was underway, and it's a backbone organization. So the role of Forward Wayne County is really to set a vision, to work with coalitions or teams of individuals who are either serving under another organization or they're passionate about an area of our community, to really look for action and how we can advance collectively strategic ideas that will make a change, make an impact. That work was going strong. We had 3 areas of focus, I'll call them pillars: workforce development, neighborhood development, and early childhood education. And so in all of those, there were coalitions that had been built and were meeting. And what I want to say is they still are. I have a meeting this week with the Workforce and Employability Coalition. The work is still happening. It just might shift. So, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, we believed certain tactics would help us to move forward, getting more folks trained and workforce ready. That might not look the same today, but the coalition work is still moving forward and we're going to adjust. That's the beauty of a backbone organization. We are constantly taking in all of the new information, the new data. We're really looking across the county, and all of that should inform the work that the individuals in the coalition are doing. So we're keeping
change.
The heart of the backbone organization does not change. The outputs might based on that data. So we're keeping moving forward, and we can make a difference, and all the folks around the table can come together just like they were 6 weeks ago, but we'll probably be rallying around some different approaches based on the change in our county dynamics due to the pandemic.
I know the early childhood literacy piece of this was one that really was going strong. Talk a little bit about some of the successes that they have had.
They have had wonderful successes. They brought together some schools, elementaries across the county to really grow and reinforce that pre-K level of education. There's a couple active grants right now, really looking to strengthen the awareness and resources that families and caregivers can learn that are already in our community. And then a third one was a large one to develop a brand new facility in the Cambridge City area that would not only serve Sugar Creek using the YMCA as a provider, but also open to others across the county who needed additional childcare. So there's been some wonderful successes in that area, and it is an incredible need. And I actually think that's an area that we're going to have to really dig in a little bit more, because early childhood education and just childcare in general was already, there's a deficit in our county, and it's going to be exacerbated by the current situation. As families go back to work, I think we're going to see a lot of need in that area.
You're watching In Focus on Whitewater Community Television's WGTV Channel 11. We're spending our last few minutes with Rebecca Gilliam, who is Executive Director of the Wayne County Foundation. Forward Wayne County has undergone some changes. You had an Executive Director. That person has gone back to a previous position or something. How is this moving forward? And as it looks, this is really about solving problems. Mm-hmm. What are some of those that you all continue to look at? I know things are changing real quickly, but are there certain things that you all are looking at really needing to put your fingers on right now as a foundation?
We, neighborhood development, livability, and then I think workforce, what's that gonna look like? The coalition's that meeting is tomorrow, and they're gonna really have to dig into that. Those are probably the highest areas. We've been fortunate. We've had continuity with a contractor who's been able to follow and guide us through the backbone development process, and she's staying on through this transition. So the work has not declined. There was already a lot of need and a lot of different action that was going to have to happen across Wayne County. I think it's just going to grow in the short term.
We're down to our last minute or two. I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about what you've learned about the foundation, what kind of brought you here, where you see it going, and what you're looking for from the community for this organization. I think a lot of people may not completely understand all that the foundation does and what it's designed to do. Can you talk about that a little bit from somebody who's kind of from the outside a little bit, coming in and taking a look at it?
The foundation is a wonderful organization that's been around for about 40 years, designed to work with individuals in the community, families, to develop funds that can impact the community for much longer than any one gift could at any given time. Also, the knowledge base that the staff, as well as the resources that we have, we're able to provide those to the community to help make good decisions about needs, as well as best practices and ways to give and charity and philanthropy in the community. So there's a great track record and a great history of making all of that happen. We are shifting. We are really wanting to be very responsive to community need, to be immersed in our community so that we understand how dollars can be leveraged to best impact a wide cross section of the needs throughout the community. So that's some of the high level direction that we're headed. I really was very impressed as I've come on and spent a few short months here, how much good is in Wayne County and how we have an amazing community. There are folks that are so eager to give, to help, to be a part of the solution, and the foundation is a tool that can be used to come alongside those individuals, the companies, the corporations, the nonprofit agencies, and really help make those ideas become a reality.
Rebecca, I want to thank you for the time that you've given us. Appreciate the work that you're doing right now with Wayne County Cares and with keeping the grant making going. I know the not-for-profit organizations in this community really do need those dollars. I want to thank Caleb Smith for being also a guest on this week's In Focus program. Replays of this can be seen tonight beginning at 10:30 all throughout this weekend. Audio available also on 1490 WKBV and ESPN Radio and on G1013. Thanks very much for watching. I wish you well.
Thank you.
This broadcast of In Focus is being made possible through the support of Reed Health. Reed Health, right beside you. And by First Bank Richmond, with 8 locations serving Wayne County. First Bank Richmond and you, doing great things together.